All right, Trey, tell me what you know about this. The White House has confirmed that these leakers have been identified.
That's right. Multiple sources here at the White House telling me today that President Trump will be firing staff members when he returns from his trip abroad. These staff members are going to be fired for leaking classified information. A source here today in Washington telling me that 3 people in the West Wing of the White House have been identified as leaking classified information. Additionally, the information about these leakers has been passed on to the Office of Government Ethics. The White House is waiting to follow a procedure at which point the president will then be able to fire these people for leaking information. A number of the sources I spoke with today called this dangerous and a terrible situation, going on to say this is criminal and that people could go to jail.
Right, right. And that was my next question. I mean, I think we can all agree that it's the epitome of selfishness to leak classified information just to exact retribution against a political enemy. But it ignores the fact that leaking classified information puts other people's lives at risk. That's why we classify the information. That's why there are laws against leaking it. So if the Government Ethics Office is investigating this, I mean, can we expect prosecution?
Certainly, that is an option or an outcome that could potentially happen as a result of these 3 individuals leaking classified information from the White House. I spoke with someone inside the White House who said that the president isn't particularly interested in pursuing criminal charges. He would like to focus on the agenda that he has laid out for the American people. But when it comes to the Office of Government Ethics, they may have their own ideas when it comes to actually trying to prosecute these people for leaking classified information. The big concern here, not only for the administration, but for the American people across the country, is the types of information that's actually been put out to the press and to other individuals here in the nation's capital and across the country. Information such as last week when one of the classified sources who gave out this information was giving out information that was ultimately printed that had to do with terrorists who were building weapons that would ultimately be taken in laptops on planes to target American citizens and our allies around the globe. So it's very dangerous and sensitive information that is being released here. And I think that's what the Trump administration is trying to focus on as they're trying to crack down on the leakers here at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Right, right. And you mentioned that there are 3 individuals who have been identified as leaking classified information. Do we know whether they're working in tandem, whether it's 3 people working individually in isolation? And do we know which information was leaked by which individual?
At this point, we're still investigating all of that, but that's a great question, Liz, because one of the people, a senior administration official that I spoke to here today at the White House, does believe that these people are actually being directed. They are linked somehow. The person said that there are a group of people within the White House who have information about the president, also classified documents that they would come across on their day-to-day activities working here in the executive branch of the government. And that person, that source here at the White House, telling me that they believe this information is actually being put together in a group of people, and that group of people working to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump here at the White House. It does seem to be a group of people, and I do not believe that these 3 people are the only people leaking information, because we've seen in a number of stories, more than 3 people have been cited when there's stories about classified intelligence or classified information.
Right, and tell us, Trey, how high up does this go? These 3 individuals, are they low-level staffers? Are they people with very high security clearance that are very close to the president? How high does this go?
I think it's both. There's certainly a concern, an underlying concern here at the White House that there are people close to the president that may not be loyal, as one source here at the White House put it today when I spoke with them. But there are other people who say a few of the leakers, whether it be classified information or other just sensitive documents that the White House may currently possess, could be some lower level staffers. So I think it's really a mixed bag when it comes to the people leaking this information. But again, we're not talking about information about the president's schedule or different meetings he may have coming down the pipeline with foreign leaders. These are classified documents that contain our country's secrets.
Right, right. I mean, like you mentioned before, the stories that I believe were published last week alleging that President Trump leaked classified information to the Russians. Then these other media outlets published stories detailing what exactly that classified information may have been in a lot greater detail. That in and of itself, I mean, that information was gotten from some of these leakers. It's very troubling. I mean, when do you expect this to be fully blown open, I guess? When do you expect President Trump to actually address this?
So one of the sources here today at the White House told me that it's a matter of timing. The president obviously wants the American people and the entire world to be focused on his first trip abroad. He visited Saudi Arabia yesterday, visiting Israel today. He will then head to Belgium, Italy, and also Vatican City. So the president has quite a large plate full of foreign policy, if you will, and he doesn't want to be necessarily focused on many of the domestic issues that his administration has faced. We do know that the Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, is heading back to the White House. This was a scheduled journey back to the United States, where he is likely to address not only this issue of leakers, but also the budget that is coming up this week. But the president, when he does return, we are hearing today in Washington that he will try to address this issue. He will have to time his famous words to these three individuals, "You're fired," at a very specific time. He'll have to make sure that that lines up with the Office of Government Ethics. There is a procedure to try to vet some of the information and concerns that the White House has, but they have, I am hearing, passed that information along to the Office of Government Ethics, and it is in the works right now. So the process to fire these individuals is in the works as we speak. The actual day that they are fired and removed from the White House, escorted off the premises, is still up in the air for right now.
Right, and it's on that day, I believe, that their names will also be exposed. No, that makes perfect sense that it would have to line up with the government ethics, as it should, because these individuals have access, you know, whether they have it in hard copy or whether they've just been there to hear it and to see it. They have access to that classified information. They've already demonstrated that they cannot be trusted to handle that safely.